With that being said, our lead story of the day is with Fox News reporter Jacqui Heinrich calling out the White House's manipulation of data and misrepresentation of data, from the jobs numbers to the way they're talking about reducing the deficit by 1.4 or 1.5 trillion. She does a fabulous job in her line of questioning. And just watch how Karine Jean-Pierre answers this one, folks. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Good, Jacqui.
Thanks, Karine. Today, the president seemed to be countering some of this GOP messaging on the economy, and he told people that Republicans like to call Democrats big spenders and people should look at the facts. But the facts don't seem to be exactly how he's painting it on some of these issues. He has claimed repeatedly that the administration reduced the deficit, but if you break it down, spending was high because of the pandemic, those programs expired, and that brought down the deficit, and then that deficit reduction was spent on canceling student loans, and then on the jobs claims that he made. He said that President Trump was the first since Hoover to lose jobs during his administration, but and he claimed that he had created 10 million new jobs, but in reality, those jobs have mostly been added back, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics says only about 514,000 jobs have been newly created. So how are people supposed to take this kind of messaging on their most important issue seriously when some of this feels like smoke and mirrors?
Well, let me tell you what the American people should take very, very seriously. Let me remind you of the Trump tax cut of 2017, $2 trillion that was not paid for.
Just completely forget about the question, you guys. She's going to just make up whatever the hell she heard in her mind and start blaming Trump. Well, let me tell you what the American people should be worried about that happened 5 years ago when the question was about your manipulation of data, lady. How you're capitalizing on what took place during COVID-19 and the pandemic to misconstrue the data, misconstrue the information, and make it seem like you've created 10 million jobs, which you haven't. Anybody with half a brain can figure that one out. But let's see how she blames Trump here and dodges the question like typical. I know we're all used to it, but let's go ahead and hear it.
Not paid for. So I want to be very clear about that. And let me also remind the American people of what was happening in January of 2020, January 20th or 21 of 2020, 2021, which was that American businesses, small businesses were shutting down. I just talked about schools. Only 46% of schools were shut down. There was not a real comprehensive COVID response and making sure that people got shots in their arms. And because of the American Rescue Plan, which is something that Republicans refused to work on, refused to vote on, the American Rescue Plan got those schools open, got those small businesses open again, and really made us and put us in a place where the economy turned back on. And
it's remarkable, is it not, folks? I mean, give her credit. It takes skill to say a bunch of nonsense for that long and just continually ramble, completely dodging the question, of which Jacqui Heinrich, again, of Fox News, I know I'm repeating myself, and I know all of you are aware, but clearly this lady isn't, of what's going on with him manipulating the data, saying it's 1.5 trillion, capitalizing on the governmental programs where there's an enormous amount of spending. Now there isn't because they expired. So obviously the spending comes down. And then you're also saying you instituted 10 million and created 10 million new jobs, of which you didn't. And numbers like around 530,000. So it's just, it's really remarkable. I know we do this every week, but it's content and it never ends. Remember, this is the same lady that was asked questions about certain things that took place in the past. And she's like, well, we're not going to focus on the past. We're only going to focus on now. But yet she brings up the Trump administration stuff from like 2017, which we're entering 2023. It's rich, you guys. It's rich. But hey, this is the best the Democrats have, folks. Joe Biden.
We saw historic, don't listen to us. You're giving me data, but there's also data that shows that unemployment is the lowest that it's been in 50 years. It also shows that what we were able to do, even with the strong labor market, that was because of the plan, the economic policies that the president put forth. So he put in the work. And here's the thing, and I'll add more, and I'm happy to hear your next question. Congressional Republicans have been very, very clear on what they want to do. And this is the choice that the president talks about that Americans have to decide on. They have to make. They have said that the first thing that they're going to repeal is the Inflation Reduction Act, which actually lowers costs for American people. They have said that if they are not able to put Medicare and Social Security on the chopping blocks, right, they're going to essentially hold us hostage. If that doesn't happen, they're going to shut down the government.
You want to talk about holding people hostage, lady? Just go to your grocery store, go to the gas pump, just look around you for a little bit, folks, and see who's being taken hostage of, because Joe Biden doesn't want to increase domestic oil production. He doesn't want to work with the Saudis. The Saudis are literally just came out, the article today, about them talking trash and making fun of Joe Biden behind his back and talking about his mental state. If you want to talk about holding people hostage, just look around the United States on what you're doing to the American people. We are way well off under Trump. Yeah, he had some asinine comments to say on Twitter, but I'd take asinine comments on Twitter any day to have my cost of standard of living actually remotely where it's supposed to be. The average American has lost $4,300 under the Biden administration. We're still paying up the wazoo everywhere we go. Hell, lady, you're going to say Republicans are going to take people hostage because they're going to remove and repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't actually do anything it says it's going to do? A bunch of hocus pocus.
That does not hurt. That does not help inflation. That makes it worse. That does not help the economy. That makes it worse. And so that is the stark difference.
She's going to tell us what makes the economy worse. She's going to blame Republicans. We're at 8.2% inflation. CPI went up. Joe Biden's still breaking records. Literally, he has exceeded expectations on matters that are only getting worse. The Federal Reserve's like, this is what we're going to predict. The CPI, this is what we're going to predict. Oh, crap, Joe Biden. He actually did worse than what was expected, but they're going to push this stuff. Remember, this is the same administration that said that we had 0% inflation, that inflation was flat, right? They kept changing the narrative on it. Yeah, but we're going to sit there and listen to them about anything in terms of the economy and inflation reduction and holding American hostages. Get out of here.
Here of what we are talking about what congressional Democrats and this president want to do.
So why doesn't he lean more on some of that language than continuing to repeat this "we reduce the deficit" thing that feels like sort of irrelevant?
No, the reduce the deficit is real. $1.4 trillion. That's what he talked about just last week, and that is historic as well. In 1 year, that's what the president has been able to do. Those are real numbers that matter as we talk about inflation, as we talk about the economy.
It just happened on its own.
No, but it is actually the policies that he has taken that has helped reduce the deficit. Let's not forget Trump 2017 with the $2 trillion that Republicans were very happy to vote on and was not paid for. So there is a difference here in how we approach the economy, how we approach what Americans are going through right now, how we approach dealing with middle-class families that you are not seeing currently. You're not seeing currently from Republicans. I got to move on because we don't have a lot of space.
That you're not currently seeing from Republicans. You have all three branches of government, lady. Why do you keep bringing up Republicans? You don't need us. You run the show. You have been running the show for freaking 2 years now. And she keeps interjecting Republicans and conservatives into it. Oh, Trump this from 2017. Oh, come on, lady. Give me a break. Mind you, she never said anything of which policies actually helped the economy and what Joe Biden's actually done other than instituting the Inflation Reduction Act, which just actually doesn't remove any sort of inflation. We got that from other Democrats themselves, from the horse's mouth. So she's going to continue to peddle all this nonsense. She's going to continue until the elections, say it's Republicans' fault. Republicans are the bad guys. They're not helping us. They're not doing this. They want to hurt you on Medicare. They're going to sit there and hold up the government spending and all this other stuff. All the while, those are real numbers. That matters, Jacqui. That matters. That's a real number, 1.4, 1.5 trillion. It's also manipulation because you're making it seem like the president is doing all these things when in reality, they just expired. The guy hasn't done anything. It just fell off the platform. And all of a sudden, now we're not spending this stuff. So you can have Joe Biden go out there and say, okay, we're going to spend $2 trillion. And then the next year, those $2 trillion end, you go like, hey, look we reduced the deficit again. We did it twice. Look at us. Yeah, but you just got done spending an assload of money, causing dramatic inflation, screwing over the American people, but yet saying the Republicans are going to hold the American people hostage if they were to win the midterms. Am I the only one crazy here that's seeing a bunch of nonsense coming from this Biden administration? Because I know I'm not. I know all of you are right there with me. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. As always, hit that like and subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.